Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Hayley Osborne Show. I'm excited that you are here. I'm just checking that all my tech is doing what it needs to do and is working, which is awesome. So, this is episode 137, and I can't believe it. We are ticking over the episodes like wildfire, which is so awesome. But as this episode comes out, we are nearing towards the end of the year. And usually this installs some panic, right? Especially if you're a business owner and you're like, oh, I set out at the beginning of the year to do this, and this, and I didn't do it. And I ended up winging it. Okay. And so that's kind of what today's podcast episode is all about, is winging it, and specifically in social media. So what to do if you have a business but you're winging it on social media. So it's kind of really timely, especially as we head up towards the end of the year, because you don't want to like keep winging it, because winging it is going to get you nowhere. And I think that lots of business owners definitely feel like they're winging it, especially when it comes to their social media, because firstly, they probably don't understand how it works really. And secondly, you don't know what to post, what picture, what caption, what to post. And so how does social media work? It works with consistency and it works with discipline. All right. They're the two. And it works through storytelling. So you have to get really good at storytelling, not selling. Okay. And that is what I see most business owners' downfall to be, is that they revert to selling because they don't have a strategy on how to be themselves, how to storytell. Storytelling builds that know, like, and trust factor. And that's the consistency and discipline, right? So when people get to know you, okay, through your consistency and you having the discipline to show up and be consistent, they start to like you. And when they like you, because you're consistent in your approach and you're disciplined to get it done, they trust you. And when they trust you, they buy from you. Okay. But you've got to build up that trust. And it's almost like you don't want to sell your soul by just always selling, but you want to be able to give people a dose of what it's like to be in your world, whatever that may look like. What is in your world aside from what it is that you sell? Because are, 70% attracted to oh, what's going on? Sorry. All right, the show must go on. 70% of people are attracted to my audio device, just connected weirdly. So 70% of people are attracted to your energy. Okay. So there's so many people that do what you do, but it's your job as a business owner to broadcast your energy over everything that you touch when it comes to promoting your business. And that can be anything from your what strategic pillars you have to include in and around your personal life, and then how that flows onto your business. So winging it, it's not the go, guys. It's just not the go. And I assure you that most business owners feel this way at one point or another, until they get to a certain point and you're like, I can't do this anymore. I need to be more strategic. And so I wanted to give you some steps to be able to get more strategic and stop winging it, so social media works for your business, not against it. And so there's a few problems that I've found with winging it and when we do wing it. And one of them is lack of direction. Okay. So posting without a plan means that you have no direction on where you're going and what your objectives are and how you're actually going to get there. Okay. And so that then will lead to super inconsistency. So not consistent and not disciplined. And then, that reflects in the results that you're getting and you become quite frustrated. And I see this a lot. And then with winging it, you are missing massive opportunities. All right. So your content needs to have a flavor of entertaining content. And we're seeing that as a trend moving into 2025. Consumers want to be entertained more. They don't want to be educated as much. And so what can you do to be a little bit more entertaining, whatever that looks like for you? Now, if you follow me on social media, or if you're just new here, know that I'm not the dancer in my reels or my videos or anything like that. I don't do that. I don't dance and perform. Okay. So for me, I have other strategies. Okay. So, without your strategy of what that looks like for you, you'll miss out on potential opportunities. And you don't want that, because you need to be consistently, and I say this a lot, is sprinkling your fairy dust around everywhere and continuing to water it. And so what effort you are putting in and putting yourself out there, it kind of, your energy creates this, this positive vibe around you, and your vibe attracts your tribe, and they come from all different places. And so as an example, you would have seen my course that recently launched. So I didn't have until now a course in my repertoire. So I've got my membership, Superhero Marketing, and now I have my Magnetic Marketing Formula, which is my 8-week course. And so I launched that and I got really, 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 really visible. A few posts a day, emails every day. I was going live every day. And within that week, it just generates a lot of noise. Okay. And you show up with purpose and meaning inside of your brand. And so inadvertently, that attracted lots of other opportunities for me in my business. And I knew that that's what would happen, and it did. And so not only did I have people come into the course to learn from me over 8 weeks, and we started this week, which is fabulous, but it also attracted other things, okay, other really amazing opportunities. And so if I didn't do that, they would be missed opportunities. So I want you to remember that winging it is not a good idea. And so in the membership in Superhero Marketing next month, we are planning our 2025 strategic plan and what we're going to do in terms of marketing. And so that will help you to have a strategy so you don't miss opportunities, so you're no longer winging it. Those inside the membership. And then another problem with winging it is that the constant pressure to come up with content, especially on the fly, can be not only overwhelming, but can be super exhausting. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to create content and push it out at the same time. You want to be more strategic so you're actually showing up with purpose. And, I've seen this said lots of times by lots of credible people, but it's not a matter of whether you are on social media or not, because you should be. Okay. Now, as a business, it's a matter of how well you do it. Okay. So remember that if you are coming up with content on the fly, you're going to be exhausted. And that's just the nature of the beast. And then if you're winging it, the problem with that is your time and energy. Okay. You're going to have no energy left to do anything else on that day, because winging it's exhausting. And so your return on that investment of your time is going to be sweet FA. Yeah. And so I think when you get more strategic in and around what that looks like for you and not winging it, you are more efficient, you're more consistent, your content is purpose driven, which is important, and you're thinking more of your customer, your ideal client, as a result. And I see that a lot. And then, if you have a social media strategy in and around that, everything becomes clearer for you. So I want you to ask yourself, are you winging it on your social media? And you're listening to this now, you know the answer. Okay. So ask yourself, do you have a content plan in place? Do you know who your target audience is and exactly what they need? And are you tracking what works and what doesn't work? So those three things are really important. What works and what doesn't work. Okay. So tracking it is important, because then you can look back and go, oh, yes, that's right. I had a strategy in place to create this video or this type of thing a little bit differently. Did it work? Yes. Okay. So what are some things I can do like that are new, that are similar, because my audience loved it? So if you're not tracking it, you're likely winging it. Sorry, guys, but you're winging it. So how do you stop winging it and get more strategic? Okay, so you can work with me to create a social media strategy so that you are defining your social media goals. Okay, so that's step one. And you can also work this out. Sometimes what I find though, with most people that come to me for a social media strategy, they're so close to this now that they cannot see how great it is to be able to disconnect themselves for a minute, have that periscope view, look down and go, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong. I could be doing this instead, to have a much more higher return on investment and higher return on the energy that I'm putting in, because it takes a lot of energy to build up a great social media presence and be consistent and disciplined and all the things. So define what your goals are. Are you looking to build brand awareness, for example? Are you looking for leads? Is that your strategic goal in your social media? Are you looking for people to be driven to your website? Or is it just sales? So when you can start to align the content that you want to put out there with these specific goals. So is it just about brand awareness? And it can be a mixture of both. So I do think you need all of them. You need to be building brand awareness all the time, because there's lots of people that do what you do. But how are you different? How is your brand different? So when you show up, do people know that it's you, even if you don't have a photo of you? Okay, so align it. It needs to be around lead generation. Your strategic social media goals need to be about web traffic, but how are you doing that? That's the strategy. Okay, and then, how to stop winging it is start to understand your audience and what they want. Understand their needs and understand who you're talking to, okay? And what kind of content they engage with. So if you are not tracking what works, you do not know what content your audience engages with, and you are winging it, all right? And then, if you haven't done any work on your marketing avatar, so your buying personas, who your ideal client is, I think you need to start. And we've covered that already in the magnetic marketing formula. And I can help you cover this as well. If you want to get in touch with me, we can look at that for you. But I think knowing your audience is crystal clear in being able to get more strategic, because then you can figure out exactly what they want. And there's listening platforms for you to be able to understand who they are. The second part, well, the not the second part, it's like the fourth part to be able to stop winging it and get more strategic is to create a content plan. And I know you're probably thinking, yawn, but it'll help you get really clear on your themes and your content pillars based on your audience's needs, based on your business goals, and then based on you as a person and what makes you tick and what is, what vibes with you. Because I see such a disconnect with people that come into my world that are so far removed from their brand because they've evolved as a person, except they haven't understood or worked out how to reconnect their business as the evolution of their person. And so I've had to morph and change so much as a person, which needs to be reflected in my content, right? Over the last 4 years, I've had 3 children and I didn't before, and I had my business. So it was difficult at the start, but I managed to morph and change, and my business grew with me along the way. And so there's never been that massive disconnect with the content that I'm putting out there and who I am as a person. And I get this a lot is when people meet me in person, they're like, oh my God, you're the same in person as you are online. You're the same as the words on your website. Like, this is not done on a whim. This is strategic because I want to show the real me, and I've evolved, and so has everything else around me. And so it's important that as you grow and evolve, that your content and your content themes and your content pillars really evolve with you at the same time. And if you don't know how to marry them all together, that's where I come in. And that's where the use of something like a social media strategy can really help you to merge your worlds and be one with them. So that's really important. And then, I think, and we all know this, one way to stop winging it and get more strategic is to pre-plan. So there's lots of different automation tools out there that you can use that will save you time, and, repurpose content across platforms. I don't see a problem with that. I do it, and it will maximize your reach. And so not only that, but the lifespan of your content lasts a lot longer. So what you see, it's not always duplicated for me, and it looks different sometimes, across Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on all those places, YouTube with my podcast. So if you are more of a visual person, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. This podcast is being recorded and I am wearing a baseball cap. So you can see that with my big curly hair. If you are more of a visual person, you prefer YouTube over audio. And so it's also on Apple, iTunes and Spotify. And then recently I have really gone all in on my Pinterest strategy. And so you need to schedule all of this stuff in because this is a lot of content that's happening every single week, which is really awesome. And so moving on from that, automation tools, I think creating consistent, engaging content, you need to focus on value. Okay. So again, educate, inspire, and motivate and, solve problems. But there is a fine line between giving away your loot bag and sharing enough of what you know, to entice those that are looking to work with you to cross the line and actually pay you. So you need to mix up your content as well. Okay. And that really helps to resonate with different people because some people prefer to watch a video, which means, we're not doing anything. We're just watching it. We're not pressing play. We're, becoming lazier as consumers as far as I'm concerned. And that's why video is so trending. Why does my microphone keep stopping on my cheeky microphone on my GarageBand? The show must go on though. And so where was I? Okay, so goodness me, a mixture of video, static, a combination, stories, graphics, text, all the things is always going to land with people differently. Okay. And so some people prefer video because they don't have to do anything. Some people prefer to read over a carousel. Some people prefer just an image and they'll read the caption. But, all of these things really help to build engaging content because you're dabbling in every single medium. I think another thing is to stay engaging is to make sure that you keep an eye on trends and what's happening, but don't rely on them. Okay. So when things are new, does this fit into your world and can you capitalize on it to boost your own visibility? I think that's really important. Does it align with your brand and your business and your messaging? If not, don't use it. And then, the obvious one to not wing it is, and I said this before, is like tracking your analytics and adjusting accordingly, and keep looking at that because it will be everything to you. And 100%, one of the things my tagline inside my business is done is better than perfect, which also is like consistency over perfection. Okay. So if you're winging it, you have a strategy, but to activate on that strategy, done is better than perfect. So don't confuse the two with what I'm saying. So done is better than perfect, but you have a strategy to activate on. So you're going to be aligned with that anyway. And you know, you have a plan on what you're actually going to do to not wing it on your social media. And you have to be okay with done is better than perfect because it's never going to be perfect. And if you wait for it to be perfect, that day will never come. It's the same as being confident. All right. You can't wait until you're confident to show up because that never happens. You will sit on your hands forever. You become more and more confident by showing up. Okay. So, like this podcast episode, for example, in this podcast, when I first started my podcast, episodes like 1 to 50, I almost needed a full script because I was so nervous and I didn't want to sound terrible in people's ears. And now I have dot points and I'm not umming and ahhing and like not knowing what to say because I have done this for a really long time now. And it's actually made me a better public speaker as well. So, I think the key is to keep on showing up and the consistency will build confidence and it will build the perfection that you're probably looking for, which ends up being done is better than perfect and helps you become more flexible and more nimble. And it will help you to be a better business owner because you are more reactive. And when you can be more reactive, you move faster. And when you move fast, I think you can achieve a lot. And I move really fast. So you've probably heard me say this before, but I move very fast because I have limited time with little people around everywhere all the time, that I need to be really strategic. And when I show up with meaning, and with a strategy. So, and even if it is because I showed up this morning and I said I was struggling to get my motivation to go for a run, you know, what is it? It's done is better than perfect. So I did do the run and I did do like it's fuck your mood, follow the plan. Okay. And I didn't make that up, but it's quite trendy at the moment. And it's true. Fuck your mood, follow the plan. The plan is to go for a run. Doesn't matter how you feel. The plan is to show up on your social media. You have a strategy, fuck your mood, follow the plan. And I think final thoughts, I need to wrap this up now because I gotta go. But when you have definitive goals, okay, when you know your audience, when you plan your content, when you can use and lean into systems and processes like automation, and track your results and use your analytics, I think that winging it is no longer a thing for you. And if you would like to connect with me to learn about how a social media strategy can help you to be able to stop winging it, especially as we go into a new year, I think it's really important. I would love to hear from you. You can send me a message on Instagram. You can hit me up on my website. I'm everywhere. Message me on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you hang out. I hang out as well because I'm kind of everywhere. Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this show, and episode, and I'll catch you next week for another episode. All right, guys, see you later.